too.
No, they don't. Oh, hey, yeah, bring him in. Hey, is that Mikey or Joey?
Mikey.
Hi, Mikey.
What? I go, hi, baby. How are
Hi,
you?
Mikey. Say hi.
Okay, go. You can take the ice cream truck.
Yeah, take that.
Just even grab the Scoop City truck.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the National Football League.
All right, we're going to deep dive into our reporting this week on the New York Jets. I figured we'd just start out with the bang since we haven't spoken here on the show since Zach Rosenblatt and I put together that story about the New York Jets situation regarding the firing of Joe Douglas, which was an expected situation. Just the timing of it, I think, was really interesting, which kind of motivated us to do a little digging on that to find out, what's going on. Because, look.
Yeah, you guys did some digging. That is for sure. That is for sure. You are. You're the star of the town right now. The last 48 hours. You guys are.
The New York Jets are going through it, and our reporting is showing some of that. Where do we start on this? I know you have tons of questions, so let's just lay this out. For those that didn't read the article on The Athletic right now, you can go check it out if you're listening to this and you want to kind of read it while you listen to us break this down a little bit. So on Tuesday, the Jets fired Joe Douglas, and this came a little bit more than a month after they fired Robert Saleh. Obviously, Saleh getting fired just 5 games into the season. That one, definitely shocking. But in both these situations, I think the shock factor was more timing, right? I think we
no doubt
all felt pretty confident that if Saleh and Douglas didn't go to the playoffs or at least even the Super Bowl, I don't think that they were going to survive. So the Jets decided that they want to move on from both of them in season, with obviously almost two months of games left here. So my colleague, Zach Rosenblatt, who covers the Jets, he's the beat reporter. He was on Scoop City recently. You guys know him. He and I teamed up, and we just basically started sharing notes the second the Joe Douglas firing went down of, all right, where are we at? How did we get here? Where are we going in terms of the Jets organization? And what do we know? And then once we started to sort of lay it out, we realized there's actually a lot going on, and there's a theme. There's actually 2 themes. I'd say the big theme is Woody Johnson has his hands all over this thing. And the other theme is this team has been tiptoeing around the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not good anymore. So
wow,
that's essentially my takeaway from talking to people over the last few days about where we're at. And that's when we began to discover some of the stuff that has gone down over the last few weeks. So I'd say the detail in the story that probably stood out the most.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What? I mean, because I'm about to go in after you, but what was the detail? I guess what was the one thing that stood out to you the most? That's a good question.
Good way to start. I was really surprised that Woody Johnson, after just being 2-2, made that suggestion to a room filled of decision makers and people.
Why?
Well, let's just go back, right? So we talked about that game against Denver. Remember, we talked so much about leading into it with, especially with the Broncos, with Peyton returning and Zach Wilson on the roster, all the hype around that. They know that, they hear that too. And remember, it was that rainy day at MetLife.
Yeah, they lost 10-9, barely.
Barely. They should have won that game. And the offense
missed a field goal. They missed a field goal. Okay.
Greg the leg. So Woody was so mad after the game. So mad. So the next day, he has his brother, Christopher Johnson, along with the team president and the head of communications and Joe Douglas, the then general manager, Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett, Jeff Ulbrich, basically anyone who is important with the New York Jets, meet and discuss what the hell is going on. Why are we so bad when I've given you everything to be good? I have given you all of this, and we stink. And I had one person describe it as Woody saw a freight train. In his mind, this thing was going to get out of control, and he saw it when they were just 2-2. And he wanted to figure out a way to get some control of it. and figure out if the direction of the Jets actually would benefit from sitting Aaron Rodgers. And that's why he made that suggestion.
That's laughable.
Which is what the room
Aaron
did.
Rodgers, yeah, okay. So hold on. I'm trying to put myself in that room. And I'm going to ask you to elaborate on the scene in that room or what you know in that scene in that room in a second. However, you lose in a rain-soaked game to a team that's now third in points per game given up and third in total defense in points allowed. So they're a very good defense, like the Broncos. And then so you go and think that you're the GM after you gave Aaron Rodgers all this power to bring in whoever the hell he wants. And then you're suggesting now to the guys who are his guys that you should bench him after 4 snaps in 4 games? Make it make sense to me.
Well, let's just go back even before this season. Woody Johnson took a lot of control over all the decisions that were being made, from Joe Douglas to Robert Saleh. They made a lot of changes in that building after last year. We talked a lot about whether or not the Jets were even going to stick with Robert Saleh. They decided to, but it was going to come with some change. And Woody was going to rein it in his mind and get some control over this organization. People close to Woody will tell you that's his right. He's the owner. He didn't like what was going on. He was going to try to fix it. Unfortunately, with that, when you start taking power away from the people that are making the football decisions, it has a very big effect on the product. And there were some signings in the offseason that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh weren't all in on, and Woody really wanted to make it happen. And because he was untrusting of this duo and untrusting of the direction of this Jets organization, he was the one calling a lot of the shots. So it wasn't shocking to the people in the room that Woody wanted to meet to talk about, okay, Ulbrich, explain, why does this defense stink? Yeah,
I mean, that's normal.
Hackett, why are we not? All that is it's not. What's normal is to meet with the head coach.
Yeah, the head coach.
It's
I got
not
it.
normal.
But I felt like when he called all those guys in, at least from my thing, I'm like, something's up. Like if you're Saleh and they get everyone, like why in the hell is the director of communications doing in a football meeting room? Sorry, that's weird as hell to me.
So no, I've heard of that before. Where
God, no.
Just to make sure the messaging and everything that's being
do it
discussed
after the fact though. Do it after the fact. I've never heard. I mean, obviously you have, but I've never heard of any normal, not dysfunctional team doing that. Take me inside the room though. Like when Woody said that. What was the reaction of everyone there?
Well, let me preface this with, remember when Bill Belichick was on the Manning cast and he used that great line about Woody in terms of describing what he is? He said, ready, fire, aim. He said that when you think of Woody Johnson, it's ready, fire, aim, right? So that means that's somebody that is emotional, that's impulsive, that doesn't always think things through. So I had some people explain it to me as Woody just wanted to hold everyone accountable in the room of what are we doing here? And in jest, in a suggestion, in an idea, he said, bench Aaron Rodgers to see what the reaction would be. Okay. So this is what the version of ownership is and the way that was going down of this is just supposed to be me suggesting, is Aaron unfixable? Is this a point? Do we have to have this kind of conversation? Whereas the coaches heard it, and along with Joe Douglas, from what I understand, all heard it as like a real thing. Like we should bench Aaron Rodgers. Some thought he was joking. Some laughed. Some went up to each other after the meeting was like, was he being serious? Like, is this real? Because here's another thing when you deal with owners. A lot of them are aware of that narrative out there being that they're meddling and they're doing too much on the football side.
Yeah, they read their social media.
They all do. And Woody Johnson reads his social media. He is very aware what everyone is saying about him. He's been known to do that for years. Anyone who's coached in that building has told that to me over the years in some form of how Woody is paying attention to all of it. So when you're paying attention to that, obviously that you're not listening to the right people. You're not listening to the right things because that's not what's really happening most of the time. You and I talk about it all the time. We can't read mentions. Crazy
Trolls,
ideas, crazy people.
Mom's basement.
But I think for this coaching staff, they realized at that moment that if he was making a suggestion like that, that is in a way an owner's way of going, this is what I want. Right? This is what I want you to do.
Why else would he say it?
It's kind of like when your parents used to tell you to do something if they were trying not to just demand you to do it, make you go clean your room. They kind of say it'd be really nice around here if you cleaned your room. Maybe you should go clean your room.
I'm really upset.
Right? Like there was like a feel there. And look, there are people there who will say Woody just doesn't know how to communicate well. And he didn't mean to say it. He said it. Nobody has denied that.
Cop out, Diana. Holy cow. You want to talk about dysfunctional organization? No one in North American pro sports has had a longer playoff drought of 14 seasons than the New York Jets. And it starts at the very, very top. Every decent team I've been on, they've had owners that know their role, that understand, hey, we'll meet with the head coach, but I'm not a football guy. You do the football stuff. When you start meddling in, and I can go through 1,000 of these things that you broke in the article or that you reported in the article, that every single one of these, okay, he's messing with personnel. He's acting like a GM. He's handcuffing Joe Douglas to do Joe Douglas's job, which in my fact, Joe Douglas drafted very, very well when he was there. And so for me, that is what I thought was the biggest takeaway. Like, stay out of personnel decisions. You're the owner.
Joe Douglas never made the playoffs in 6 years. At the end of the day, that's the facts, okay? The Zach Wilson quarterback situation was botched.
Yeah,
okay,
big
so
time.
if you're and now Aaron Rodgers. So when you take a look at it, I understand why they were going to possibly move on, because it had been explained to me that it wasn't definite that Joe was going to be out because Aaron Rodgers really likes Joe Douglas. That there was maybe a thought that they could all stay for next year. That is out the window, right? Because now this brings us to Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so what now? So here we are. They're on a bye week. You have to wonder what Aaron Rodgers is going to do next. Knowing just there's not a lot of game left. He's banged up, right? Could there be...
So you're saying he's not going to play?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying these are things that people are sort of having conversations about right now of, is Aaron going to be upset when he comes back from the bye week? Is he going to be annoyed that his owner or the owner of the Jets even would have wanted to do anything like this after everything they've been through?
Why do they care what Aaron Rodgers thinks? Move on with your life, New York Jets. There's no way in hell that you should want him back. Look, he's an aging guy that you even said it has not been playing great. Move on, draft well, go hire a legitimate head coach, go hire a legitimate GM, and try to rebuild this thing from the ground up.
Look, I would be very surprised if Aaron Rodgers is back with the New York Jets. I don't get the sense the Jets want him back. I don't get the sense that this is somewhere he wants to be, knowing it has been a chaotic 2 years. It's been dysfunctional from the top bottom for him. And this experience, I mean, I don't think this could have gone off the rails as in the way it did. I don't know if any of us could have predicted the way this turned out. I thought that ownership was doing the right thing at the start of this. I always agreed that bringing Aaron Rodgers to New York was smart. I think the issue is always going to go back to a couple things. One of them being how much power they were giving him to keep him happy, and really making that decision after last year to stick with Robert Saleh. Like that, to me, I know this defense looks bad without him. And I do think Robert Saleh is going to wind up getting another job somewhere, and he'll be a successful coach somewhere else. But
a
after
defensive
last
coordinator
year,
or a head coach?
I think he'll be a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
I think I could see him. I could see him getting some interviews for head coach, though. I could see it. Robert is great in a room. He's got a lot of really good, strong relationships in the league with people, and he's well liked. Like he really is. So it would not blow my mind if we're reporting and talking about this on the show if he's getting some opportunities to interview. So, look, I want to know what's going to happen next week. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Would Aaron Rodgers go on IR? Would they consider doing that, knowing, all right, this isn't going to work out. Let's let Tyrod Taylor finish it out.
That's sort of my next question to you. Okay, so you're saying, you're not saying, but let's just say Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Jets next season. They don't want him back. He don't want to be back. Is he done playing? Like, what are the percentage chances of him done playing? Is he going to go try to put another franchise through hell and play again, or what?
Chase, do you think Aaron Rodgers wants this to be his final chapter?
He doesn't have any more time left. Like, he's going to be 41.
He is, but I don't think he thinks he's done.
I
don't know
who wants him, though?
What Aaron Rodgers is thinking at this moment. I have no idea what he wants to do. Retirement was always whispered about in the Jets organization but he'd been very steadfast with them that, look, I want to be here. I want to keep playing. They brought Devontae Adams here for him. They've done everything to make him happy. He had every reason to continue playing for the Jets. Obviously, that's not going to be the case anymore. But you look at the free agent quarterback market coming up here, and it's not good. Like,
yeah, but Dianna, like, after everything that's transpired over the last 3 years, even with Aaron Rodgers, from his time, what team is going to want him for a year? He's going to set the team back. Like, I get the free agency market is like that, but you have a zoo of a media storm coming your way.
You don't think that there is a team right now that would be a team that doesn't have a quarterback answer for next year that wouldn't consider it? Look, Tom Brady.
There's so much more that goes
his
with
market wasn't amazing, and he's Tom
Brady's
Brady.
but Tom Brady's on a different level than Aaron Rodgers.
But that's my point.
Yeah,
his market when Tom was a free agent.
Yeah,
his market was not robust. It wasn't. There were definitely conversations being had, but serious offers to bring Tom Brady in. It was never out of control. I was reporting about it at ESPN at the time. And then in the end, we know he wound up with Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl, and he was amazing.
Yeah, but
I could see that. My point is what you're saying. If Brady had a hard time and he wasn't injured, Aaron Rodgers is coming off an Achilles, a 41-year-old in December, with the muck of whatever this was. And look, he can say to any GM, any head coach, any owner right now and say, nobody can win there. Nobody can win with the New York Jets right now. Even someone of my caliber, even someone with the ability I have. The whole experiment didn't work.
Why the hell did he sign there then if he didn't,
because
that's
I don't believe he thought it when he started. I don't think the Jets thought that. Nobody could have predicted this. Okay, maybe some fans that are miserable, but
easy on nobody.
And even just the whole experience of reporting all this stuff and reading some of the fan base of how they feel about it, and even running into some people since the story came out, I almost find Jets fans at this point to be slightly immune to it. It doesn't.
Yeah, don't really care. I get it.
They don't really care anymore. They're indifferent towards it. They know the owner's not.
They're missing the playoffs for the 14th straight year. They're tired of it.
Correct. And we don't want to keep pounding it home. They know it's not good there. So look, the Jets are going to have a lot of decisions to make. They fired Joe Douglas in order to get ahead on the GM search. They want to get the feelers out. They want other head coaches out there that are interested possibly working for the New York Jets. It's going to be a clean house.
Last thing before we take a break, I want to ask you about that, the GM and the head coach search. What type of person are they looking for in both of those guys?
I think they're sorting that out right now, actually. I know that. They're trying to figure out what they're looking for.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you and I could probably do an episode of here are what the Jets should be looking for. And we would probably both start with culture. We would probably both start with accountability. Probably both start with control from top to bottom in terms of let this GM and head coach tandem tell you and give the keys to them, not to the next quarterback. I don't care if Tom Brady comes out of retirement. Give the keys to the people that you hired to do the job.
Yeah. I agree. I like
my final thought on this, though, Chase, is I think the New York Jets' biggest challenge is going to be selling the New York Jets to the top coaches. because a team like this needs someone with experience. A team that has an owner like this needs someone who knows how to manage it. And a first-time head coach, that's a big ask.
That's what I was going to say. So you'd imagine that this is an older guy that's been a head coach before, probably what they need. Yeah.
I would
leader
assume.
of men.
A leader of men is what the New York Jets mean.
Wow. Well, congrats to you, though, because you've been crushing it. I haven't really talked to you. You've been 0 dark 30 with everything. So you've been crushing it like always.
Well, thank you. There is more to come, unfortunately, with the New York Jets. Yeah, we'll have more coming up in a few weeks.
What a tease.
Chase, how do you measure sadness?
Tears.
Me too. So sad. Let's not make it that way, though. We all love ice cream. So why don't we measure sadness in regards to some of these teams through our ice cream scoops? So
I see what you did
one scoop of ice cream. So one scoop of ice cream will be, you need a little, nighttime pick-me-up. You want a little
feel
snack
good about myself.
before you fall asleep. Feel good. Exactly.
Yeah,
you're going to go to the gym in the morning. You're just drink a lot of
work
water.
out, working on my fit. Yeah, okay.
5 scoops, though, that's like, you might as well just put the spoon in just the carton and just go.
That's like a banana split?
Correct. Just stick your face in it, right? So in regards to these teams, one means you got some hope, actually, right? And 5 is we're in trouble here. All right, so
5 is just like overloaded, just like sad as all get out.
Correct. Overeating.
Yeah.
And we just wrapped up talking about, I know that is the worst, talking about the Jets, and I think we're fair on this. We're going 5 scoop on this.
I'm going to do 4.
Ooh, shocker. Why?
I'm going to do 4 because I actually like the fact that I don't like the fact that they fired Joe Douglas because I was with Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas is my guy in Philly. But I like the fact that he's making moves. And hopefully Woody Johnson, Big Woody, decides to hire a legitimate head coach and a legitimate GM, and they snap their playoff drought. So 4, because there's a little bit of hope.
Well, at least you have a little bit of hope, because if you look at this year, they could go this whole season, lose Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and Aaron Rodgers, and start fresh for next year. But where do they start? This whole thing has just got to be rebuilt from the bottom up. Yet they do have some really good players still on this team. That's what I'm saying.
They got some good players, Diana. Like on defense, they got some good dudes.
Yeah. All right. So 5 scoops for me, 4 scoops for you. Let's talk about the Panthers. This one is interesting because I like what they're doing right now. I enjoy seeing this improvement. I like watching Bryce Young look so happy.
Yeah,
he seems like he's growing into all of this.
Yeah. It's wild to me how like a benching like that can just change his perspective. Just like a little bit of time and time out, and then you go right there. So I'm going to go, well, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Bryce Young in the offseason. Like, are they going to trade him? Like,
that's the biggest question.
3.5 scoops, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
3.5 is good. I'll take 4 on them, and here's why.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going to still try to figure out what they want to do. Obviously, based on what we saw already, it appeared that they thought that this wasn't going to work. But now that he's showing more promise here, and they're playing better, the offensive line is good. They did a good job in the draft with that and making improvements there. Yep. I think this regime is the reason why I'm probably getting the scoops. I give them credit for sort of riding this ship here where it looked really ugly, having the guts to walk into David Tepper's office with Dan Morgan and say, I can't make this work. If we want to win games, Bryce Young is not the answer. He needs to watch. And I think he watched it. Andy, I think he did. And I think that helped. So their defense is the problem, though. That's where we got the issue. They gave up 4th most yards in the league, 24th passing defense, 32nd rushing defense, 32nd in scoring. I
think they've given up like 6 or 5 30-point games, and you know who they played this weekend? The Chiefs.
Yeah.
Maybe I might go to 4 now. I might go to 4.
See, this could be one of these games, though, where they could stay in this thing.
Stop it right now.
The Chiefs just lost it. They just lost for the first time. Their undefeated season is over. They're looking on the schedule, and they're like, the Panthers. This could be one of those games where Carolina can catch them.
I could not agree more. I think the Chiefs are going to blow them out.
All right, we'll see. I'll be texting you on Sunday. So really the question is, how can they upgrade a defense that really doesn't have a lot of talent, but also surround Bryce Young with the pieces to succeed. That's going to be the biggest struggle for them. They need receivers. What about the idea of keeping Bryce Young and just keeping him as a piece as he continues to develop and grow?
It's an interesting scenario. One, do you think you're going to actually be good next year? Or do you think you're going to just be middle of the range? If you're going to be middle of the range, keep Bryce Young. Let him grow, because the quarterback draft class is not good. The free agency draft class is not good. Wait another year to do it. If he's showing enough promise, that's what you do. If not, then I think you just got to blow it up and get a guy for $10 million a year to play quarterback to just win some games and hold the fort down. You got to do something. Like, I don't know if just drafting a guy to draft a guy is the question. Like Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers, like, I don't know if they're better than Bryce Young. You know, like, we forget that Bryce Young was a freaking number 1 overall pick. It's in there somewhere. So Canales has, I think, has done a good job for his first time being a head coach, right? It's a tough organization to win with.
Yeah, well, they still owe the second-round pick to Chicago next year for that Bryce Young trade. So it's just the gift
that keeps on giving.
It does. Speaking of the gift that keeps on giving, the Cleveland Browns. Let's just start there with how many scoops you giving them. So 5 is horrendous. 1 is okay. For where we're at now.
Yeah, 5. No, it's like 6. It might be 6, honestly.
You're doing even an extra one.
I might just like pass out in a coma after that. It's the Deshaun Watson stuff just hanging. Like, I almost forgot about it until you brought it up. Like, I put it so far out of my mind that I didn't realize that they have like $150 million cap hit for Deshaun Watson or whatever it is. And if they wild.
And they have 4 primetime games too.
No, they don't. Oh, hey, yeah, bring him in. Hey, is that Mikey or Joey?
Mikey.
Hi, Mikey.
And they have 4 primetime games still to come this season.
No, they don't.
I mean, you got to figure that they're going to flex these things, right? So,
Jameis Winston, though, they might not flex his speeches.
But look, some people still think they're actually an exciting team because of that dynamic, and they're still the Cleveland Browns.
I don't know who those people are. But I disagree.
But we know that they've got some problems. They got the most expensive roster in NFL history this season.
Yeah,
the most expensive roster.
Deshaun Watson in the contract.
So, look, they have a lot of decisions to make. Do they cut him? Do they stick with him? Do they try to move on from Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry and try to bring in someone who they think can resurrect Deshaun Watson? These are things we don't know yet.
Come on.
It's not that crazy. There's chatter about these type of things right now because ownership isn't happy with the way this is gone.
Who's going to resurrect Deshaun Watson?
I don't know.
If it can't be 2-time coach of the year.
It's a fair point. And look, it doesn't get any better for them in the offseason too.
Wow.
Nick Chubb, Elijah Moore, Jedrick Wills, all pending free agents. Like it's so their run game's already not great. So they're gonna have to sort that out. So they're 5 scoops for me, just because you're right. It always goes back to Deshaun, and I don't know if this team is going to be able to figure it out with Deshaun Watson on their roster. I just don't know if it ever gets any better.
It's not. I can tell you right now.
Is it going to get better in Dallas? The Dallas Cowboys.
It has
How many scoops? How many scoops for you?
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to go 1 scoop. I'm just going to go 1 scoop. Yeah, I sort of hope they do something batshit crazy and I don't know. Get
You're
Prime.
giving the Dallas Cowboys right now.
Get Prime. Get Shedeur. Let us talk about stuff. Dallas Cowboys nonstop for the next 5 years. I'd love that, actually.
You just like to be entertained. I'm talking from just an organization that their goal is to win.
Oh, organization.
They're trying to win games here, not win the entertainment.
Oh, yeah. 3.
You think
not
this
all
is
these
a
guys
one-year
could be
fix?
5.
Do you think this is a one-year fix?
Of course not. Just a 3. They got good players. They got to get better players, though.
Here's the problem. They've got their star players. We know Dak Prescott. We know CeeDee Lamb. We know Micah Parsons. But that's all they that's all they're focused on, really. That's all they're spending
Yeah.
their money on. And I know on the show we talk a lot about Jerry Jones's decision not to bring in a running back. And, I think we went pretty hard on him in terms of going, why didn't he bring Derrick Henry in? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm just going to go back to the fact that letting Tony Pollard go was probably the bigger mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
Tony Pollard's one of the best players on the Tennessee Titans this year. And he was
They
there.
could've
They
used
had
him.
him. He was right there.
Yep.
So
Couldn't pay
to
him.
me,
Not enough money to go around.
is that what they're always going to say?
Yeah,
Is that what the word is on them? Now, look, Mike McCarthy's dead men walking. Everybody knows, he's in the final year of his contract. Who wants to work there? And a lot of people do. I can tell you that. But who's the right one? Who's the right fit? Who do you
I don't
really
know.
want to see there?
But like it honestly doesn't matter, Diana, because when it comes to Dallas, until Jerry Jones gives up some of the power, they're not going to be the same. Like he's like Will McClay is the drafting guy right there, right? And the head coach is just you're never really going to have the power until Jerry Jones. Like I don't know, like it's just like one of those things where even if it was prime Deion Sanders, if he were to come in and he was going to be like Jerry, I need control the roster, even to prime, who's the best corner in NFL history, he's not going to give it up. So I don't know. It's got to take a strong head coach to go in and be bossed around by Jerry.
Yeah, well, they definitely lack depth, and I'm assuming in the offseason they're going to try to make as many moves as they possibly can, knowing that this isn't good enough. I
They
just
need
don't want to hear.
D-lineman and running back.
I just don't want to
Number
hear
two
all
receiver.
in. I don't want to hear all in. Remember?
What if we hear that again?
I'm going to say we need a new definition of. You need to use a new word, is what I'm going to say politely to him.
All out.
Because that. His definition of all in is certainly very, very different than all of us. So
I still give him one because I'm entertained.
You can take that one. The Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to be a little softer here. Soft ice.
You've been 5 the whole.
Well, that's me.
Soft serve.
I'm gonna give the Raiders a 3. Right. So I'm in the middle, and Tom Brady's my reason why I'm not going higher.
Oh.
So we know he's minority owner now, and Mark Davis was really open when I talked to him about the addition of Tom Brady and what that means. And he just kept pointing to his excellence and why would you not pick the brain of somebody who's done it at his level so many times and is the greatest quarterback to play the game? Why would you not let this person be a gigantic part of your organization? So I think the influence and that excellence, that theme is going to help this team figure out what direction they want to go in and what kind of decisions to make and what kind of people, what kind of players they want to be Raiders.
Yeah, that's great. 4.25 for me. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a head coach. It's his last. He's got one more year on his deal. They don't know if Antonio Pierce is going to be the guy. They could fire him. So they don't have that. They have Tom Brady, minority owner. Okay, great. You don't have the two most important positions in sports. 4.25 for me.
I don't think they're in full-on rebuild mode. I think there's some infrastructure there that they can work with. Obviously, we've seen Brock Bowers. They've got Max Crosby. They've got some pieces that are really good.
You don't have a head coach or a quarterback. Those are the two most important positions in any franchise. Look at the Texans last year with DeMeco Ryans and C.J. Stroud. They completely changed their franchise around. No one was talking about them. Now we talk about them, and they're your Super Bowl favorites. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but 4.25.
Well, then let's talk about a team then that could desperately use a quarterback, and that's the New York Giants. All right, I give them 3 scoops.
That's it.
3 scoops. Still got to keep an eye on this, whether or not Brian Daboll and Joe Shane keep their jobs. Ownership continues to stand by.
What's your read on
They're
that?
coming back. In what sense?
Joe Shane and Daboll. I heard Daboll's coaching for his job.
I think that the next few weeks are going to be very important for him. I
With
think
Tommy
Joe
DeVito
Shane
at quarterback.
has a safer landing here, but I think Brian Daboll is the one that
How
has
does
to show
Joe
that.
Shane have a safer landing? If
Because-
Brian Daboll, one of the best coaches, is going to get fired, you deserve to be fired too.
And they're a tandem, which is why that would
Yes.
be interesting
Exactly.
because they came in together and they're very public about them being a duo. But general managers have different relationships with owners than coaches. They spent a lot of time with them. And you have to wonder what Joe Shane's selling to John Mara in terms of what he wants to do in the future. And
selling
maybe
versus
Joe,
actually doing it's completely different.
Well, if I'm Joe, I'm saying we finally get a chance. Let's keep Brian. We finally are going to get a chance to draft a quarterback we want. Give us that chance. We haven't been able to do it.
Quarterbacks aren't that good, though. That's what people are forgetting. They
needed to get a quarterback this last draft.
Yes,
they messed up.
Exactly. That's why they should be fired. Well, I like Dayball, though. Okay, 4.99.
They haven't won the NFC East since 2011. It's been a long time.
Wow. Let's just keep doing what we're going to be doing.
All right, 3 scoops then. I'm going to stick with it. Patriots. They get 1 scoop from me.
I agree. No, I agree.
All right, one little scoop
Drake
for us.
May is legit.
Dude, he's awesome.
He is legit.
I'm shocked how good he is at this point. The way the season started compared to what he's doing now. I mean, obviously we didn't see that much of him.
And he's doing it with very little on the offensive line and very little skill players. So, right? Like, we love them.
They're projected to have the most cap space in the league next year too, just under about 140 million.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Let's freaking go.
They've got the most important element and piece. They got the quarterback, and now they got money to spend.
They definitely have the quarterback, and I think they have the head coach. So 0.5 scoops, just a little taste.
Just a little spoonful. All right, let's wrap this up with the Tennessee Titans. We don't talk about them on the show at all. We probably need to do a little bit more because I do think there's some good stuff there. I'm going to give them 3 scoops because of their defense. I look at some of the stuff they did. Denard Wilson was hired to do what they're doing, so I give them a lot of credit for that. The turnovers are the problem. The offense is the problem. You know what I don't know the answer to?
Will Levis?
No, I know the answer. He's not a good quarterback. He
I like when you say things like that.
He has some good backup potential, but I don't think he should be a starter right now.
Spicy.
He cost this team way too many games.
I agree.
And Coach Callahan is, I think, trying his best to find an identity for this team.
You can tell he doesn't like him.
Well, how do you...
Why? You can tell. Are you serious? Do you listen to his press conferences about him early in the year? Come on now. Come on.
I feel like all coaches outside Sean Payton kind of talk like that about their quarterback. It. Not everyone's like, I love my quarterback. I love my quarterback. That by the way, that was my Sean Payton voice. I don't know why he sounded like a robot.
Sean Payton voice.
That was not good. But look, I think Derrick Henry having all the success in Baltimore has got to be piercing to those fans, but also to even just decision makers who decided to move on from Derrick Henry. The O-line seems to be improving a little bit, but they still have holes there. They got to figure out the quarterback spot. At the end of the day, they're in that group that if they don't have a quarterback, they're not going to be good.
That's why it's a 3 for me, because they have the head coach. I believe in the head coach. They have the defense. QB, the most important position in sports. Why do you believe in the head coach?
Because I've heard this a lot from people.
Yeah, I think what he did.
I like him, but
yeah. I mean, it's 1 year with a quarterback that doesn't know how to run his offense. Like, how can you even remotely judge this guy? This guy was brought in to be an offensive guru, like he was with Burrow, right? And it's if you're grading this season for him, it's an I. It's an incomplete.
It is an incomplete, but I wish the other I that was solved this year was the identity of the Titans. That's what I wish the biggest takeaway would have been. Like, I'm okay that they're not great. I assumed they were going to lose a lot of games. I just wish I knew who the Titans were. I always knew who they were.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I don't know who they are. They have some good stuff, some good players, especially on defense, but we will find out more and see what they do in this offseason after they spent so much money this past offseason. Still to come, let's take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for another edition of In My Mentions. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, back here in Scoop City Chase, we're going to do a round of In My Mentions because, as you probably can imagine, our mentions have been kind of insane since our Jet story published, because I do think fans get mad at the messenger a lot, which I understand. They have to be
Don't
mad
say
at
in
somebody.
our mentions, in your mentions.
I know. Can you fight some people for me? No one's fighting for me.
Yes, I can be a cyber bully.
Yes, help me. Look, there's been a lot of people, though, making comparisons between Woody Johnson and Jerry Jones. Obviously, two owners deeply involved with their teams. And there were some tweets going, is Woody basically Jerry Jones of the East, was one of the comments I saw. Right? Is Woody Jerry Jones of the East? So
That's funny.
what would your response be to that, though? Like, is Woody Johnson like Jerry Jones? Who would you rather?
No. Woody Johnson's not even remotely close to Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones is a businessman. Yeah, he wants to win a championship, but he's got the biggest brand in all of sports. And he's got the most money in all of sports. Woody Johnson, sorry. The dysfunction might be the same, but you are not even close. You can say what you want about Jerry as a GM. You can say what you want about Jerry as an owner, but Jerry as a businessman is freaking undefeated. Woody Johnson, to me, I don't know what you are. You got some money? Good. Great. I'm glad. Right? And I've been pretty hard on Big Woody all week, but the dysfunction's pretty bad, though. When you miss the playoffs for 14 straight years, it's the definition of insanity to me, Dianna. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, and it's insanity.
I asked you earlier about the Jets' characteristics, like what they're looking for. Yeah. And I know I joked and said, we should do a whole show about what they should be looking for. But if Woody came over right now and just like hopped on the show with us, let's just say he joined Scoop City right now and was our guest, what advice would you give him? We're not interviewing. We're telling him, Woody, this is what you need. What do you
want
think?
Me to tell him that?
I want to hear what someone like you. Yep. You've been around some great coaches. You've been around some great teams. You've been in amazing locker rooms. You've been with great owners. What works?
Hire a leader of men, okay, not a leader of boys. Hire a GM that knows how to draft well and has a plan for the foreseeable future, not just for next year. And then go out and get a quarterback that you really believe in. However, if you do those things, stay out of their business. Check in with them. But you hired them to do a job. Let them do their job. Do a really good job yourself of vetting every single person possible for the job. But once they have the job, take a seat down.
Well, a really smart football person said to me once, a lot of these teams, like the Cowboys, like the Jets, like other teams that are struggling, they're about individuals. Whereas the successful teams are about the process. They're about the program.
Very true.
Right? The Detroit
That
Lions.
person's smart.
The Detroit Lions are a team I think of that it took a minute. It doesn't just happen. You can't just fix it. I know we talked earlier about how, it could not have gone any worse for the Jets, but when they were putting this thing together, we've all been doing this long enough, and fans have watched enough train wrecks. We were all thinking in the back of our minds, like, it's not an easy fix to put together a football team. It doesn't work like that. It's never just you plug and play. Very rarely, maybe a couple examples, but it's not the norm. It's not how most teams are playing in the Super Bowl. That's usually taking time and building towards something with a great foundation. So finding a foundation. The leader of men comment, I hear it a lot. I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean? Is that mean being a hard ass? Does that mean calling your best players out? Does that mean...
No, a leader of men it's different than college where you sort of have to be a hard ass. Like, you got to be on their level, but at the same day, you got to be so into what your vision is and so just like a servant leader is what I call like a leader of men. You do it by example. You lead by your actions, but at the same time, you have a very understandable plan that's laid out in front of your men, and they are willing to go to battle for you. Look at Dan Campbell, and you said it doesn't take forever. He was 3-13-1, his first year. Next year, they were 9-8, but they won 8 of their last 10. And now they've won 27 of their last 38 or 39 games. It takes time. Be patient. Get the right guys in there. And I think the men in the locker room matter so much. Like one of the best coaches of all time told me, it's players, not plays. So unless you have the players to go out there and do it with the right attitude and the right demeanor and the right heart, it's going to be a hard locker room to fix.
Yeah. Well, the mentions I had to turn off at some point because it just was getting so crazy. But I just love to put myself through the misery. Earlier today, our Bears reporter, Adam Johns, tweeted that this is now 2 weeks in a row where Thomas Brown presented just a different vibe and energy when discussing offensive strategy, the Bears' opponent, Caleb Williams, and more during the press conference. You can see what the players are talking about themselves in terms of what Thomas Brown has brought to this team since he's taken over as offensive coordinator. So I saw that and I was thinking, good for the Bears. Like, I love this idea that this coach here is stepping in, getting the best out of the number 1 overall pick, and they're buying into it. So I quote tweeted it, and I meant to use the emoji of the thumbs up, like, this is awesome. But it turned out I used like the okay. So it looks like I'm like, okay,
nice
dude.
job. Oh,
like,
wow.
No. Like, I ain't buying it, okay.
Yeah, like, good.
That's how it reads. So the mentions are like, you suck. People are
I'm glad
so
you
mad.
didn't delete it.
I had to leave it, but I almost quote tweeted myself again to go, I didn't mean it that way. Like, wrong emoji
Let the
mess
trolls
up.
get mad.
Oh, the trolls. Let them let it rip. So let's finish this segment here just on the Bears. Just, look, they got the Vikings. Brian Flores is going to get creative with them. I don't think they're going to be able to sort all of this out this week to bring down the Vikings. But at the same time, the Vikings lately, they've been making me a little nervous with some of their outings and obviously with Sam Darnold. So in terms of, I think, big picture for Caleb, to me, this is why I'm going okay in a great way. Because because we wanted to see this. Like, it's like finally, like a little bit of that number 1 overall pick. What about for you?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think that he played his best game of the year against the Packers, which is probably one of the better teams they've played all year long. And the reason is Thomas Brown ran the ball like 28 times in the first half. He let the rookie get comfortable. He let the rookie, the game come to him a little bit. And then when they needed plays down the stretch, that 2-minute drive was amazing. The 3rd and 19 scramble out to Rome Odunze, then the 4th and 3 fade throw to him was perfect. And then he checked to what should have been the game-winning play on an out route to the field to Keenan Allen. He checked to full max protection when they were in cover 0. I mean, it was everything you wanted and more. Unfortunately, the field goal got blocked, but I like what I'm seeing out of the young man. It's just going to be a difficult task versus the Vikings.
I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm hearing. Like, when he's talking about how different the offense is now and how the play calls are coming in to his ear faster. You could tell he's just more confident and comfortable. So credit to the Bears for making this change here. So we spent most of the show a little doom and gloom. I'm not going to lie. I figure next week is Thanksgiving. So we're going to be doing tons of appreciation and things we're grateful for and thankful for.
Show.
So yeah, the thankful show. So we got out all the ghouls, all the blah, all the ugly here, as we're going to continue to learn about more teams this week and see if maybe the Panthers can pull it off. Hey, you never know. We need to start having little side bets here for my ridiculous statements to see if they come true. You never know. But that'll do it for us here on Scoop City, guys. We'll be back next week. We hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the slate of games. See you next week.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.